Hello, this is Mish, and welcome to this Twin Peaks Season 3, Episode 17-18 recap review. So I'll try to detail out how I believe the finale went, covering main points. The amount of content in these two episodes was very prodigious, so it really requires a rewatch. But I'll cover the basics with this recap. And I'll aim to upload a final thoughts of the entire season and some theories as well over the next few days and weeks. Just to cover some more points that I'm not going to cover here, so stay tuned for that, or maybe even subscribe to hopefully get alerts when those videos come online. But for now, going forward, this will contain spoilers. So we see Gordon Cole to start with, and his explanation of Judy, which we've not heard before, so that was quite cool to hear that. So extremely negative force, Judy. So there was a plan by Major Briggs, Cooper, and Gordon Cole. Had a plan to kill two birds with one stone, so possible to kill Judy, save Laura. Well, that was Coop's plan anyway, so maybe we're seeing him implement that now that he's free. We also see the FBI get details on Dougie, and Agent Cooper, so they also are aware now that he's going to Twin Peaks, so we see the FBI are going to meet him there. Okay, now on to the Doppelganger. So we see that he finds the portal in the woods. He goes into the portal or the vortex, and I guess it looks like a trap to me. He looks like he's got bars on his container, and they are expecting him, and they send him back. They send him back to the sheriff's office. So it all looks like a very carefully planned trap, and it kind of makes sense as well, obviously, because of the characters that are there waiting. So then the next sequence of events unfolds. So we see Chad escape, but it's quickly resolved by Freddy and his green glove. Then we see that Andy remembers what he's been told and releases everyone and gets things ready. So we see the real Agent Cooper warns the sheriff, well, not really intentionally, but just talking to him lets him know that that's not the real Agent Cooper. So we see Lucy shoots the Doppelganger. Then the woodsman release Bob out of the Doppelganger. Then we see Freddy fulfill his destiny and have a fight with Bob, shatters him, most likely destroys him. I mean, you could argue that he's going to float away and go back together, or maybe he's not destroyed, he's just gone back to his original location. So then we see Cooper put the ring on the Doppelganger, sending him back to the lodge. Then we see the lady with no eyes approach Coop, and it appears that that is probably Diane the whole time, and she's been trapped. So, or maybe it's just a way that Diane has come back. But either way, Diane was trapped and she's now back. And back with Coop. So we also see at this point that Dougie was remade and sent home to fill that void of the family there, which is a nice point. So this whole scene here around the sheriff's station, it really closes a lot of storylines and story arcs. So in a lot of ways, that's really the end of a lot of story from Season 3. Now, it kind of feels like at this point we fall back into picking up the original story from Season 1 and 2 in the movies. So we see Cooper and Philip Gerard visit Philip Jeffries in the other lodge. So by the look of it, this is so Coop can be sent back in time to try and save Laura. So all goes well. We see that Coop approaches Laura. I was very impressed with how the synergy worked of the old stuff and the new stuff. I thought it worked very well. There must have been many shots taken from the original footage, in preparation for this, or maybe angles that we've never seen before. So it was really, really cool. I was trying to pick up flaws, but I thought it was done very well on a visual level. Very impressive. So instead of meeting Leo, Laura Palmer actually takes Agent Coop's hand, and that's the kind of the crossroads of her life there, I believe. So the decision. So Coop tries to lead her into the vortex that he's aware of, back to his own reality, one would assume. But ultimately, the creature that seems to be inhabiting Laura Palmer's mother sabotages this. Then we see Laura vanish. A point as well that I keep coming back to, that we heard a few, one-liners from people. So the past dictates the future, which I think is very relevant throughout this season now. And also another one, which is we live inside a dream. So those two one-liners, I think, are very relevant for a lot of these points, especially in episode 18. So on to the episode 18, the second part. This really requires a rewatch. So there wasn't a lot of events that happen, but there was a lot of suggestions, a lot of subtleties. And, go back to this whole point as well. Is this future or is this past? Another awesome quote. So we see that Dale leaves the lodge and he meets Diane. Diane and Cooper head on a journey by the look of it. So they head to another vortex or portal. So this leads them into another location. So I guess the question here is where did they go? Another time? Another timeline? Parallel universe? Or is this a dream? But anyway, they find a hotel, a motel. They stay in it. And they did mention that this is, that things may be different here. So for me, that suggestion was a timeline. So I think that's kind of playing out with Diane seems to lose her memory, calls herself Linda in a letter, and calls Coop Richard. So she disappears. And Coop seems to continue on, but he's slightly bemused at this point. I think he's kind of struggling to understand what he's going to do. So he ends up running across a lunch bar with the name Judy. So he goes inside this, and he's all kind of been led by instinct at this point, and suggestions that he's had from other experiences. So he goes into this lunch bar. One of the workers there is Laura Palmer that we find out, so he tracks her down. So he eventually tracks her down, and he leads her to Twin Peaks. But don't mention the person that she may have murdered. Let's not talk about that for now. That's not important. Anyway, I'll come back to that at a later point possibly. So they find Laura Palmer's old house, her original house from the original movies. And that's where Sarah Palmer is at the moment. Well, that we were led to believe. So they go to see Sarah Palmer, Laura's mother. It's not her. And they have no recollection of this. So, once again, come back to these points. Is this future? Is this past? The past dictates the future. Or is this a dream? But then we see them, both Coop and Laura confused. And all of a sudden, I think Laura clicks onto something here. So her memory slightly returns, or maybe it all came flooding back, and she screams. That in turn turns the lights off in the house. So that's what suggestion to me would be that there was a dream. But that's kind of a recap of both main episodes, the main points from them. There's so much there. There was a lot to take in. So if Twin Peaks wasn't confusing enough, now we have to deal with time travel on top of everything else. So really, to condense and summarize both these episodes into a little abridged paragraph. So this is my opinion. So Coop and everyone defeated Bob and a doppelganger. Life returned to normal for all those characters apart from Coop and Diane. So then we see Coop went back in time to try and save Laura Palmer. Her mother gets in the way and sabotages this. So Coop leaves that time and the lodge and meets Diane back in the current time. But things may have changed because of what he's already done. Then they attempt another rescue of Laura Palmer. So going to another portal, a different place. But because of the events that have occurred, Diane's forgetting who they are. Coop actually gets Laura Palmer, but she also doesn't remember. So once again, kind of a hint of this isn't the right timeline. This isn't the right reality. So they get Laura to the original house, and it's not hers. So either this is a different timeline, or perhaps Coop has changed the future, or once again, another important quote is this the same ones I keep going back to: the past dictates the future. How about this? Could this be a parallel universe? Oh, once again, we live inside a dream. Could this just be a dream? The suggestion there of her screaming and turning the lights off for me would be a suggestion of this is possibly a dream. But for me, I think it's probably an alternate timeline. But I think this definitely requires a rewatch. I want to rewatch a couple episodes, then do a whole summary. But I really enjoyed episode 17. I thought that was really satisfying to get a lot of closure on a lot of story arcs. So it was good to get that closure. But for me, episode 18 almost felt like everything was opened back up again. So whilst we finished off season 3 and all those points are closed there, we now move back on to the original storylines from season 1 and 2 in the movies. Now the problem is here, are we going to get season 4? The show's rating haven't been the greatest, and I can't see any word on season 4 as yet. If you have, definitely post it below. That would be really good to hear that. But for me, I had a look, I couldn't see anything. And once again, the ratings haven't been the greatest. I think it is classified as successful. No, I'm not talking critically here. That's a whole different ballgame. I'm talking, I guess, financially and how many views they've had. I think it is classified as successful. So whether it's enough to drive a season 4, who knows? Many questions left unanswered though, especially since that episode 18. So where are Coop and Laura? Where, what reality are they in? Another point here is what happened to Audrey? So we had no more information on poor Audrey. Who was the girl that got taken host by those frog creatures many episodes ago? Was that Laura's mother? Is that Sarah Palmer? So there's many more questions that I could go on and on. But for now, I'll leave this for here. So once again, I'll aim to have a season overview and maybe some theories video online over the coming days. I just want to rewatch a couple of episodes and maybe get my bearings a bit more and try and figure out a bit more stuff going on. Leave your feedback. As always, I really appreciate all that stuff. It's really amazing. Thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe for future content from me here. There's quite a few new seasons coming out of other things over the next month or two, so stay tuned for that. So I'll leave this here for now. Until next time, this is Mesh, and I'll see you later.